Marion Jones in 2007, admitting the steroid use, and she's back with me now. I mean, that was some moment. And yet, in itself, it must be cathartic to finally be able to say, okay, hands up, America. I cheated. Appallingly painful though it is, that's the beginning of the moving on process, isn't it?
That was, and it is. Every time I have to speak about it, it is a form of healing. And you get to a point, and I think a lot of people can relate to this, when you carry such a burden for so long, whatever it might be, a lie, a secret, when you're finally able to let it all out, regardless of what the consequences may be, and in my case, they were certainly severe. And we knew that they were going to be, not as severe as they were, but it's a total release. And I knew that I couldn't carry it any longer. You know, I was married, I had a child, I was about to have another one, and I found myself telling my oldest son, you know, when you do certain things, you make a mistake, you move on, but then I turn around and I wasn't living it. I was being a hypocrite. And when you have kids, as you know, things become a lot clearer in your life. And you realize that everything you say and do can affect them, and in my case, everything you don't do or say. And I couldn't live with that. I love my kids too much for that.
How difficult was the conversation with your mother when you had to finally have... It's true.
Extremely painful. Because she was and still is my biggest support. To know that you let down somebody who loves you regardless, who loves me and loves me regardless of the fact that I turned my back. So, it was hard. It was hard.
Did you turn to her, having rejected her in the way that you said you did? What was the moment you turned back to her?
Not too long after I pled guilty. And, you know, it was simple. It wasn't anything very complicated. Just a simple embrace. And the whispered sound of my mom saying, I love you. No matter what. So, it was hard. Painful. But even when I still talk to her and I see her, and my family and my close friends, you know, I feel a sense of guilt for disappointing.
Because your mother, I guess, had lived the great heights.
Yeah.
And had been, I guess, like any mother would be, your daughter's this supreme Olympic champion. It's the American dream at its finest. And then it becomes a total nightmare.
And as a mom, it's tough because she can't do anything about it. You know, I'm her baby. And her baby's an adult and makes certain choices. And all she can do from a distance is pray and love on me as much as she can. But she can't do anything about it. And so I can only imagine as a mother myself that feeling.
Was she angry with you?
No. I mean, I think throughout the journey and throughout everything, there were moments that she was angry because she could see me making poor choices, and would share with me, and that's, I think, why I started to become more and more distant.
What was the most angry she got with you? What was the poorest choice your mother thinks you ever made?
Well, certainly my decision in men. Yeah. My relationship.
It's not been great.
It hasn't. It hasn't. The third time's a charm. Third time's a charm.
Why were you attracted to the bad guys?
I don't know. I think I saw something in them that perhaps I was lacking in my childhood. As I mentioned, my mom was a single mom, and so my biological father was never part of my life.
Did you have any relationship with him at all?
No.
So you was craving a kind of father substitute, possibly?
Possibly. I think that's safe to say that.
Is he still alive, your biological father?
No, he's passed.
Did you have any feelings about that when you heard?
I did. It was a very emotional time for me simply because I got a call from a friend of his saying that he had passed, and he hadn't been in contact with me for 15 years. And then this friend tells me that, but he kept an album of all my accomplishments. And I went to the funeral, and I sat on the front row of the church, and because I was his only offspring. But yet I saw young people getting up, speaking about him, saying he was such a father to them. And I couldn't say that. And so it was just really, 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 really difficult for me to deal with all that. And so I'm not saying that's the reason poor choice in relationships, but possibly it contributed.
Not having a strong male presence in your life and all the pressure on your mum to bring you up and everything, it can't help, can it? I mean, it's just not going to help.
No, and I certainly know that from a young age, we realized that I was just blessed with so much talent. And from an early age, even my mom has shared this with me, as she likes to call them the pariahs, started coming out of the woodwork when they saw that there was this golden ticket in me. And she's a single mom, and so they come out of nowhere and say things.
It's like a shark pool, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, you are the best bait in town.
Yeah.
And it's the shark pool. And they're all nibbling. They all want a piece of the action.
And it's easy to protect when the child is at home, but by the time the child is old enough and go off to college, how much protecting can you do?
Let's take another break. I want to come back and talk to you about the moment the door shuts in prison on that first night, how you were feeling. And then I want to go to happier times.
Yeah. Can we get there quick?
We can get there reasonably quick.
All right.